Hello, everyone. Welcome to Learning with Champion Series 2025. And the topic for today's session is Beyond the Basics Harnessing Google Classroom's Premium Features. I am Sonia Mehra Agarwal, EDU Impact Lead at Google for Education India, and we're very excited to have you all as a part of this session. Let's directly go and meet our champion for today and our trainer for today, Sangeeta Gulati ma'am, who's a National ICT awardee as well as a Google certified trainer and innovator. She's also leader for GEG Delhi NCR. Over to you, ma'am. Let's begin the session.
I would say, it's always a pleasure to be here with you and so many other excited educators who I know have made time to be here in spite of, being a working day. I'm going to just share my screen to get started. But at the same time, yes, today's session is to go beyond the basics. So some of you are already users of Google Workspace for education. Today's session, I'm just going to first make sure that I put up my slides. It's going to be as titled, right? Going beyond the basics. So we are not going to be looking at the very basic as to how to create a classroom. But if you feel the need for that, you can always let Sonia know, so that next time maybe we can create another session where we are doing only the basics. But today we are going ahead of this. We are looking at covering certain basic. So again, today's session is going to cover Google Classroom, of course, and then also looking at some of the premium features. Right? So we are going to be looking at the premium features, which are superb. Specifically, when we are looking at creating this personalized learning pathways, supporting our students, how the premium features in the Google Classroom helps us. We'll also try to keep some time right at the end to take up some of your queries. But in the meanwhile, do use chat. There is also a Q&A right there at the bottom. If you click the 9 dots, you will be able to find that. You can leave a question there in case you really want that to be addressed. But put your queries in the chat, and I'm sure I have lots of my co-champions in the call. I'm sure they will be answering as well along with Sonia here. So again, when we think about Google Workspace for education, it brings whole lot of ecosystem, starting with the main emphasis, as we say, at the USP that we say of Google Apps, is the collaboration. So definitely there is collaborative tasks that can be planned just simply using Google Sheets and Docs and Slides, and again Google Sites, so many of them who are so easy to use. Definitely nothing is going to be done till you have that storage that comes with Google Drive. And of course, when you want to look at working with students in an education system, the security and privacy is the topmost concern. So all of that is taken care of in Google Workspace for education. Google Classroom plays a central role in this environment because that is where teaching and learning happens. So you may be looking at teaching happening, of course, in the classroom, but taking that beyond the classroom, beyond the walls, beyond the bells ringing to stop you halfway through your sentence. You're looking at continuing that conversation outside the school timings as well. So 24/7, that platform is available for you. And we are going to be focusing on the premium features which absolutely enhance the entire process of teaching and learning. But to begin with, if we just focus on what Google Classroom does, it's like a full circle. What you would do in your classroom. When you go to the classroom, you have taught, but then you end up also with giving some kind of a task to your students. The student would do the work, they would receive some feedback, and then you kind of correct their work and return. The same cycle, but with few more stops, can be seen here, where you're looking at the feedback being given as a live feedback. You're looking at also an opportunity for students to unsubmit and perhaps improve and then submit the work. So there is so many components that go into the way these transactions are happening in Google Classroom. So again, there are a whole lot of these features that are possible as a sub steps in this wheel. And let's quickly look at some of them in a slightly closer form. So when we talk about teacher assigns work to students, what kind of work is being assigned? You have a whole lot of variety there. It's not only, okay, do question number 1 to 8 from this book and this exercise. You're looking at creating documents within the Google Classroom using maybe docs and slides, or asking them to do something collaboratively. So there could be a Google Doc, which everybody is working on. You can also use Google Forms, which I think all of us are very, very familiar with. But when we think about practice sets and YouTube quizzes, these are the premium features. So they come with Education Plus license, where you're looking at the artificial intelligence playing a role in making your class more dynamic. So practice sets, YouTube quizzes, they are special type of assignments. We'll take a look at them. And of course, if you're teaching younger kids and they're struggling with reading, there is a beautiful and very robust read along, using which you can create also assignments for your students. Again, assignments assessment will be done on the basis of certain rubrics. So you can create and attach rubrics to your assignments. Add-ons. Who doesn't like Kahoot? Who doesn't like maybe getting a paired activity in the classroom? So instead of looking for an additional app, looking for more sign-ins, you can do all of that right from your Google Classroom as well. Again, ensuring the safety and security of the student, ensuring the ease with which these assignments can be given out to the students. And of course, differentiation. We always talk about, let's not, if you have 30 kids in the class, let's not all of 30 do the same task. Maybe you have 5 kids who need something different. Maybe you have only 1 kid who is different. Or maybe you are giving them certain group tasks. Now, not now, but for some time in the premium version, you have the ability to create student groups, so that each team, each group can continue doing their task differently. So you can assign them different tasks. When the student is doing the work, what kind of support do they get? There is always a to-do list. Always very helpful, because students do forget what they're supposed to do. They have 5 subjects to manage. So would they be able to keep up with that? So there is a to-do list. They also get a chance to use originality checks at least thrice in an assignment to make sure that their work is authentic, their work, wherever they've used any resources, has been cited correctly. So that is where originality checks comes. Of course, rubric to guide them in case they need to make sure all points are covered. They can use class comments, they can use calendar, classroom stream to reach out to the teacher and the class as well. Of course, everyone needs reminders. So calendar reminders, again, every time an assignment is created, it shows up in your calendar, and that calendar reminder is there for students as well. And then when we take a closer look at practice sets, you will be able to see how you as a teacher is able to see the working. So it's not just a Google form where they have selected a particular answer, but what have they written can also be seen. So all of that is done as they are doing, or at the end, they're getting certain feedback from the educator. So private comments, they are the most supportive one, because they're not being said to the entire class, but to that particular student. Class comments as well, in document comments. If it is a Google Doc assignment, you also have, by the way, entire question comment bank for educators, which you can make use of. All of these are there, but again, premium, when we talk about, of course, we are looking at the read along AI help and the AI support in the classroom, which we are going to take a look at. Student, when they submit the work, it can be of all types. It could be a file attachment, practice sets, again YouTube quizzes, read along, add-ons, and of course the reminders and the submission statement. When we talk about teacher grading the work, there is a rubric. So every component, there is something which is supporting either the student and the teacher. In Education Plus, you have unlimited opportunity to test, to run the originality reports, to check the authenticity of the work that is being done, not only matching the content with the resources or sources available across the web, but also within the. So the power of AI through originality reports will match the content of the document with the documents that are available in the domain, across the domain, and not only of that particular year or that particular class, but the entire storage that is available there. So that's the power that you would get with the Education Plus model. And of course, practices, we will be looking at that. And teacher always have the power to, return the work and give them a chance to maybe improve, but leave some comments. And of course, as I mentioned, there is a comment bank. So let's hear in the chat if you have used comment bank to save time, how important it is, because you and I, we both know we are repeating certain times the same comment across 15 notebooks, because you have found the same error in all the 15 and you have to write that down. Or you just want to praise and you want to give them guidance to move ahead as to what their next step should be. So all of that can be kept ready and can be reused anytime you want. So that's comment bank. Again, not only students are kept in loop with this Google Classroom, guardian summaries plays a big role in ensuring that the parents of our students are aware of what kind of work has been assigned, what kind of a work is being returned, how much work has been submitted by the student, how much work is due as well. So guardian summaries again are available in all kind of not all kind, or all the three levels of Google Workspace for Education, but definitely that's something that can be again used and will absolutely help. Uh, More than anything, for educators, what is most important is to know how the class is learning. What are the points where they are struggling? So it's not only the submission rate. Did the class submit, like 80% of them have submitted, or 100% of them have submitted the work? What a teacher also needs is there a particular concept which maybe our students are not able to understand? Is there something which in general there is a problem with in the classroom? If you have taught a concept and maybe 5 kids have completely lost it, maybe they were absent, maybe they were out of the class, or it's a concept which is difficult and it has not been received well with your class, you would want to know that. And when you correct assignments, you do get that feeling. You are able to measure that exact, point where there is a trouble. But then that happens quite late after the date of submission. You need at least, 4 to 5 days to correct that work. But what if your students have submitted the work and just at a glance, you are able to pick the concept or a particular kind of a question which is giving challenge to majority of your class? It would immediately guide you as to what your next plan of action would be. And that is what you get in terms of the insights that each of these AI supported assignments like practice sets and YouTube videos with the interactive questions added in, as well as read along, brings to you. So that is something important. Analytics, when we talk about, it will give you an overview of the Google Classroom. So as a teacher, you would be able to see again how many students are actively participating, and at the same time also check the analytics for a particular student. As an administrator, you would be able to take the pulse of the entire domain. So if you as an administrator want to know how often the Google Classroom is being used, what kind of assignments they are being done, what is the rate of activity or submissions happening, the analytics would help. And of course, there is also, since I mentioned about the administrator, there is also, with the premium feature comes power of visiting a class. So if you are an administrator who's attending this meeting, then that's also something which is helpful, because sometimes you do want to step into a classroom. You do that physically perhaps, but what about virtually going into a classroom just to check if everything is happening, what kind of assignments are being done? Or if an educator needs help, maybe the person is not able to access the classroom, maybe the person is on leave, and you want to just go into the classroom and maybe assign a certain work. All of that would be possible if you are using Education Plus and the Chrome admin has allocated those rights to a certain set of people. So that is where again visit class is one of the very, very powerful feature, which definitely is something to look out for. Okay, so let's move away from here, because some of these things must have sounded very familiar, that I know all of this. But the two things that I highlighted to begin with is where we are going to take a little more time, and that is the interactive task. So again, in the Google Classroom, when you open the dashboard, on the left panel in a premium version, there is something called as the resources, and that is where this practice sets and the videos where the questions can be inserted are available. And so that is where you can create a practice sets and keep it ready and use it anytime you want. So what exactly are practice sets? So practice sets, as the name suggests, are meant for students self practice. These are not high stake tests. These are not even, one would say, formative assessment. This is just to support student to revisit a concept. Because when the student is attempting these questions, not necessarily only maths, but could be science, could be even English, they are getting the support of AI through those various resources, which either are being suggested by the practice set software itself, or the teacher is able to assign and identify what would work for that particular question. Those are the resources that will pop up when a student fails to answer the question correctly, so that the student can take the help of those questions, those resources, which could be in form of a YouTube video, it could be in form of a text explanation, or any other format in which you want to share that particular explanation, that would be popping up inside that practice set. Students will watch it, read it, and then reattempt the question. So that is what practice sets are. Again, they will, whatever they will do will get recorded. So if their student has attempted the question three times, a kind of a automatic screenshot is being taken, and we will be able to see the record as a teacher as to how many times the student has done and what have they written before they decided on the right answer. To make our life easier, you can also use certain PDF resources, and you can scan those questions, not in a very manual sense of what I'm saying as a scan, but you can select those questions, some of those questions from a PDF and add to a practice set. You can also import questions from Google Form. So if you have already got a repository of resources, you can now give them a new look and make them more robust, because AI is going to help our students do that. They will also have the opportunity to show their work. So they will literally have a small space where there is a pencil available or a pen available, and they will be able to ink and express what their solution is. When we talk about interactive questions for YouTube video, that's a little more obvious as to what it is. And many of us would have possibly used Edpuzzle at one time or other. So, of course, that's there, but why not use something which is part of our Google Classroom? And also, important would be the insights, which I'm going to show you once I open a Google Classroom to show you all of the possible, a collection of data that is coming in. But what is interactive YouTube videos is basically adding in these questions at certain moment of the video, so that as the student watch, they are not passively watching, they are processing the information, and then they are able to answer the question and get certain feedback as well instantly. So again, making it a little more personalized, making it more interactive, and also ensuring that as an educator, you get to know that yes, students have watched the video, which is always needed. Again, another thing that I had mentioned earlier was read along. So if you are teaching younger ones, there is a read along app that can be made use of. Again, this is the very familiar interface of the Google Classroom. Right from here, we'll be able to assign a book. You can identify what difficulty level it should be, what level of reading you would want it to be. And then there is going to be, when you assign it to the students and students open it, there's going to be an assistance little girl called Dia, who would prompt them, who would prompt our reader when the reader struggles to pronounce a word. Maybe they are struggling to complete the sentence or understand the word. You're able to get Dia to help them and nudge them in that journey of reading. So, and of course, as a teacher, you would get the feedback. You would get to know, in fact, even the list of the words that the particular student or most of the students are struggling with. So again, step one would be assigning stories, student read the stories, teachers would be able to view the data and also track the progress of the student. All of this coming in right from Google Classroom. So let's open up a classroom where you would be able to see these features and a little more, but I'm going to keep that little more for the later part of the session. But let's open classroom here and let's find these interactive tasks. So the panel which I was suggesting is here on the left. You can see there is something called as resources, which you will find only if you are your school or your domain has the premium license, which is coming in the form of either teaching and learning upgrade, or it is coming as a education plus model, which always needed. All right, so let's focus on this. So this is the left panel where you will be able to see the resources. And under the resources, we are able to find the practice sets and the videos. So this is the new practice set if you want to create, or new video activity. This is where you would start. But once you have created these resources, they will always be available in your Google Classroom. Uh, so you can, start from here and assign them, or you can start creating. But again, reminding ourselves that this is not a session where we are talking about how to create. So I will have to, move on with the use of it rather than how to create a practice set. Again, depending on the time, if that's possible, we will give a quick demo of how we can create practice sets. So let's take a look at first practice sets and try to understand, what or how they can be used. So here is my practice time. There are two assignments here: understanding plastics in our ocean, so something to do with environmental science. And then there is, of course, always one from maths. So again, when we are looking at it, it can be made for any topic, because now you are able to create these resources and give those support to the students. It's not only dependent on AI, because again, teachers love to show or use their favorite videos rather than somebody else suggesting. So that's why Google listened and they allowed it, that feature to happen. So let's take a look at this. So this is a particular class where some of the students have already submitted the assignment. Some have just submitted, it's unchecked or not returned. But what does the practice set look like, and what kind of a features does it have? Let's take a look at both of them. So this is what it would look like as a practice set, where the students are going to be attempting it. So it's just loading. So be patient. Let's see here. So this is what a practice set looks like. And right now I'm talking about a maths one. So you are able to actually, solve and put a number or an answer. But there is also something called as a show your work. So when I click it open, the student will be able to take that pencil, as it is called, and actually start solving. So they will be writing something which would be then later visible to the teacher as well. So suppose I have done this, and then for no rhyme or reason, maybe the student does something like 2x is equal to, let's say 16, right? And then they say, okay, x is equal to 8. Maybe that's how the child is thinking. And then they go back in their answer box and they just type in 8. Now, the benefit of this is that they don't have to wait for me to check their answer. They can check their answer then and there. So they will click on check, and the AI would look at the answer and then say whether it's correct or wrong. So definitely it's not. But the moment it is coming as an incorrect answer, there's a bulb that lights up. That means this is where a hint is now available. So show a hint, and I can see that now I have a certain YouTube video that has come up. So the student may watch the video, try to understand what the method is, and then try to follow it back. So again, this is a possibility, for a student, again, in case they maybe for whatever ways they are thinking about and they answer this, again, it's going to prompt them that it's incorrect. Another, hint will show up here. And now you can see it's kind of giving you almost the algorithm of the question, not solving it, not giving you the answer, but it's telling what they have to do. So subtract 5 from both sides. Because when I wrote this, I'm thinking of a student who might be adding 11 and 5, right? That is one of the very common error. Don't know how students or what students are thinking, but that's a possibility. But having that algorithm now showing up here, they will be able to repeat their steps and then figure out what the answer is going to be, and hopefully they'll reach the correct answer. So the moment I say check, and then there is going to be a green tick mark coming up. So this is what we have as the practice sets. All kind of questions can be framed because you do have the option of using the math keyboard. All scientific symbols can be brought in as well. But again, let's leave that for a later time, or I'm sure if you are interested as to what's happening, you will find time to try these practice sets. Let me take you back to the actual assignment which I was showing, because the magic is also happening here. So suppose I have 11 assignments that I have already returned. I can see who all have submitted and whom I have returned. But there is little thing here called class insights. So if I click on class insights, this is where, as an educator or as a classroom teacher, I am going to be guided as to how my class is proceeding. How have they understood or not understood this? So take a look at this. There are some dark green bubbles, and then there are some lighter green. What difference is that? The dark green is correct on first attempt, whereas the lighter green bubbles are correct after 2 or more attempts. So it's not just getting the answer correct that is visible, but how many tries. Of course, some of these are incorrect because the question that I'd created was a short answer question with very specific answer. So again, in case the answer is not being marked correct because it's not matching the various options I had given, as a teacher, I will be able to ensure that students do get the benefit of that because I can open these questions. But before that, let's take a look at one of this, maybe just one student here. So I've just opened a particular student work, and I can see that the student had attempted the first question, hasn't finished this, because the moment the student checks the answer, the screenshot is taken. So in this case, the student had not attempted second and third and then written something as NA, obviously not the correct answer. Let's move to the another student. So if I look at this particular student, the student has possibly, got the answer correct in the first attempt itself here, and then another one and something here. So this is a incorrect answer. So I'm going to leave that as it is. Let's just look at the question wise analysis. So now I have opened only the question 2 of all the students who have submitted the work. So you will be at a glance be able to see, what kind of an attempt it is for just one question. For example, in the fourth question, because there was a concern about, the syntax not matching. Suppose I have this question open up, I can see that the person has written something as fx equal to, I might want to give a comment and say, that's not how you represent the answer. But I understand that the student has got the idea what the domain should be. The answer should have been something as just r minus 1. But it was originally incorrect, but I could toggle this and make it correct as well. More than that, there is a writing, the working, some kind of that is visible. So even if the student or teacher has done some just a doodling, I would be able to see that doodling as well. So that is the power of show your work. At the same time, if a question, because it's a short answer question, the syntax is not being picked up and it is incorrect, you can correct it as well. But the magic happens from both the sides. Student gets that hint which guides them, and teacher gets these insights which guide teacher to plan and change the flow if needed. Here is a summary. These students persevered through multiple attempts on many problems. So it's kind of giving a snapshot of what the class has done. So there are 11 submissions, and it's kind of picked up randomly from there. So that is what practice sets does. Again, there is always a option of using it for any subject. So if it is a science topic, you are able to see that also coming in the same thing as a kind of a filling the, sorry, this one. There can be even a short answer questions, there can be an MCQ style questions. So again, you can see 3 are being graded, and now this one has been made an graded assignment. The practice set was an ungraded. Again, if you open up the assignment that has been submitted by the student, you will be able to see how many questions are correct or incorrect. So here, the marks are not imported automatically. You will have to assign those marks. Again, the basic principle is that they are supposed to be self-practice. So good practice would be to keep them ungraded. Let the children take their time, let them try their questions out as many times as possible or needed to understand how the flow goes and what they want to learn, rather than having a pressure of how many marks I have got. Let's move over to the other very interesting part of our lessons here, as the interactive YouTube. So here is a video on basic digestive system, and this has been converted into an interactive video because there are 5 questions that have been inserted here. So when the student starts watching the video, I'm going to keep the volume off. So when the student starts watching the video, they'll watch for a certain time, and I'm going to cheat here, and I'm going to come to this first question, and you are able to see an MCQ coming up. You can have MCQ. You can also have multi-select questions as well, and short answers. But short answers would automatically, as always, will not get marked. But suppose I am looking at this as an answer, not thinking it through, because I wanted it to be incorrect. So immediately student gets to see that it's a wrong answer. Try another answer. So you would be able to go ahead and try. The idea is that these questions are based on the content that they have watched up to now. So they are supposed to know what the answer is because it has been taught. So that's the fun of these questions have been actually added in just with AI. But you can manually also add or delete the questions, add your own questions, or reduce the number of questions. But the moment I open a video in the interactive mode, it would suggest that you can add these questions. Again, the insights are interesting. So coming to here, class insights, you will be able to see almost the same kind of dashboard, opening up the same as the classroom assignment that does. And then you have here, which says these students persevered through multiple attempts on many problems. So that summary is there. If you go further down, there are many who have, like me, have tried it number of times and then eventually got them right. So if you want to see the analysis of a particular question only, you will be able to see how many have done. It also says how many attempts the student has taken in order to get the right answer. So that is the advantage of using such kind of tools, because if you give a Google form, which I definitely would recommend, use Google Forms, but you would not get these insights, and student will not get any support as well. So you can see that this particular student has used 3 attempts. So in a way, it tells you that actually student does not know the content, because it's kind of become more of a hit and trial then. So that kind of suggests maybe then you can leave a private comment to the student and say, make sure that you have watched the video again and have understood the content because you have noticed something, right? So that kind of an interaction can always be done through the private comments. And the same system, as we said earlier, can be used for returning the assignment. Moving on to read along, something which is so magical and so fun to watch. So here's my reading time. Specifically, if you are teaching in lower classes. So read along is a way for students to read along with the right? And of course, the insights would come up. So I'm going to show you the insights first so that you can see, what kind of report has been generated. And then I'll show you one of the book again as it's opening up here. So again, the insights are specific to the reading activity. So you can see, how many have started reading or not reading, how many have read the entire book. So you can see that as well, that there's a less than 70% and distribution of accuracy, all of this insight. And then more important here, common words that need practice. So this is only on the basis of few submissions that have come in. But if you are looking at a bigger class and or even a smaller class who's regularly doing this task, it is going to be very, very helpful. So let's open this, book just to show you what read along looks like, because it's really fun as well. So when we look at read along, where do you start with? We'll also take a look at it. But right now I'm opened it in the assignment. And here is my little book that I picked up for younger kids, level 2 or 3, or even I think younger than that. And then if I start here, just checking if is the audio clear. Are you able to hear Dia? If somebody can confirm, because sometimes
No, ma'am. No,
Can't
ma'am.
hear.
not clear. Let me.
No, ma'am.
I think it's on mute.
Not really. I can hear it, but I have experienced this earlier that through the Meet, the audio is not going through.
Maybe
But
there is an option to share to enable presentation audio on Google Meet itself.
I
If
know,
you,
but I'm sharing a screen, not the tab, because it's a different domain. So it will not be possible. So you just have to take my word for it for now. Sorry for that. But the idea is basically this, that if I click on it, then Dia supports me and she reads out the word. And if I just move on to the next one, you will see that I'm starting with nobody knows her secret, that she sleeps with a wooden mingling stick. So suppose I'm stuck at some word. So I've skipped this. Now I'm going to start from here. When she sleeps, so you can see the words that I have skipped become underlined. And then they are black, but the words that I am reading are turning into blue. But suppose I'm So I just stopped here, and now Dia spoke up that read out aloud. She. So there is a support coming through with this Dia, who's constantly talking to me. You can't hear her, but she's talking to me here, and she's trying to, nudge me to move on and reading some of the words wherever my cursor is going as well. So sorry you can't enjoy the audio right now, but that's exactly what read along does. And again, it can be created right from your Google Classroom itself. So if you go to the classwork and we create a assignment, then in the assignment there is an option of read along. So when you click on read along, it will take you to the web page for that, and you will be able to then select the kind of book that you would want to start using. So you can either choose your own content, which is going to come up soon. So we will be able to add our own content here. And then you are also able to use the read along library. Again, you can either choose the Lexile level, or you can choose the grade. So if I choose the grade and I say I want to use only for the very young ones, then you will find suitable books for that level, where there are more pictures and less words. But if I take one, maybe I can open up just any random book here, and then it will also tell you to use the student view, so that you can check out what it is going to look like. Another option that has got added in read along is the silent reading, because when you are using this tool in classroom, there is going to be chaos. So if there is a silent reading, students can read to themselves, and in between they will be able to get some comprehension questions. So that is also an option here in the Google Classroom read along app, which would also be helpful. But when you are assigning it as a home assignment, then read aloud, so that their ability to read full passages and sentences improves. So that is the magic of read along. The other thing that we talked about were the add-ons. So here is where you find the add-ons, starting right from. So starting from Google Arts and Culture, right up to the Kahoot, Edpuzzle, Nearpod, some of the familiar third-party apps that we had, or have been using, you will be able to find them. Benefit again being that they are now available in the Google Classroom, and therefore no separate sign-ins are needed. and students will be able to access them along with you as an assignment. So just to showcase one of them, here is one. So I've called it share your understanding, and what they have to do is they have to create a presentation, and a presentation in Genially. So here is where I use the add-on and I created this presentation. This presentation is what will go into the classroom, and the students will be able to create or enhance that as per their requirement. So everybody, the moment, it doesn't say make a copy, just to highlight that. But every time I assign this homework to the students, each of the student will be able to create their own assignment right here in this Genially template. So that's a possibility as well. Of course, you can use it outside from not going via the classroom, but otherwise you can take the template and attach it. But it is very much convenient and easy to access right here because you have Genially as well as an add-on in Google Classroom. Now, again, another thing before we wrap up is, what if I want to create a rubric for such kind of an assignment, or any other task which is going to make my classroom interactive? How do I get that inspiration to make my class more interesting? Of course, Gemini is there for you. So in the classroom, you will be able to see the Gemini with the blue dot showing up. So let's explore this a little. I'm going to click open Gemini, and there are almost 30 plus options that are available. We can choose any one of them to start off. You can also filter them. So there's a planning, instruction material, assessment, support students, and of course, administrative tasks. Suppose I go for assessments first. So there are two things that are shining there. One is create a rubric, and the other would be generate a quiz. So I was reminding of rubric because if I'm giving a presentation and I want to assess that presentation, then I would want a certain criteria. So maybe we would be able to add a rubric here, and well, Gemini is there to help you create that rubric. So let's try this out as a live demo and see if that works for us. So I'm going to click on, create a rubric. And suppose this was a class 9 presentation, and what kind of performance levels I want. So do I, looking at 3 or 4 or 5 criteria, let's keep it as 4 as it here goes. And then it says add assignment instructions. So if I go back to my classroom and I'm going to just open that particular assignment, there were some instructions that I had added in the draft. I would need that. So wanted to just sync with this. Sorry, I'm closing a lot of tabs here, but getting back to my classroom, and let's see. Give me a moment and I'm going to be back in my classroom in no time. Okay, so let's go to classroom.google.com because I've closed everything. Don't want to close the rubrics. And if I go back to the assignment that I was trying to share, this is share your understanding. So I have asked something like this: use the Genially template provided to create presentation about what you have learned, etc. I'm going to just copy and paste this. So I'm just going to edit this assignment and I'm going to copy and paste this instruction in my come on. I think everything is slowing down for some reason. Let's refresh. So what basically I'm looking for is some kind of a content. So being just a little lazy there, but you can type fresh as well. So you are able to, look at a possibility. Okay. I think I moved it. So sorry. I just moved for no reason. I moved that. So let me just copy this. Oops, sorry, again, I did the same mistake. So I'm going to copy the instructions here, and I'm going to use this to be the brief that I want to give to Gemini here. Add assignment instructions. So this was what I was trying to get to. Then it says describe the knowledge or skills you want students to demonstrate. So you have to give some kind of a, information to Gemini so that the rubric can be and the criteria can be set. So what is the knowledge or skills you want? The knowledge or skills that I want perhaps is they should be able to talk about, build up skills, let's say, to present their understanding in an engaging and creative manner. I'm just going to type this and let's see what kind of rubric is created. So generate criteria. So these are the criteria that have come up: content accuracy and understanding, engagement and creativity, use of multimedia, clarity and organization, and of course, action plan flaw reduction. Suppose I'm not too keen to emphasize on this, I can remove it. I can keep only 4 criteria for this rubric, and let's generate rubric. So I had asked for 4 levels, like, good and a very good and a excellent kind. So this is what it has generated. So I've got a rubric now: criterion, again, content and accuracy, exceeding, meeting, approaching, far from approaching, and so on. What are you going to do with it? Of course, you can export it. You can also add it straight to the class. But if I export it, I can export it to Google Sheets. And that is where, or the kind of rubric you would otherwise as well add. But right now, I have taken help of Gemini to create this rubric, which is now available in my drive. And so when I go back to my assignment here, I will be able to say, okay, let's add a rubric. And I'm going to either can create right from here, but I use Gemini, did no hard work other than copy paste. And I'm going to maybe import from Sheets. So I'm going to reuse also. If you have used a rubric in any other assignment, you can reuse as well. So here is my rubric for grade 9 that we have just created, showing up through my drive, and I can add that in. So that is the power of, using Gemini, using Genially, which is an add-on, and then I can go ahead and simply assign this task as well in the classroom. That's the power of having an add-on, and no troubles, no moving in and out of various logins, everything coming in with a single sign-on of the Google, whatever edu account that you are using and following up. Okay, let's try one more option, because Gemini is so interesting. I'm just going to cancel, leave this page, come back here. You can now pick any other of these activities. Maybe you want to create a jigsaw activity. Maybe you want to create math story word problem. Maybe you want to just go into the planning and looking for an lesson plan. Of course, you can have a vocabulary list. So many options are available right here. Maybe discussion prompts. If as an language teacher, you are looking for some ideas to get started, then that can be one of them. Instruction, again, you are looking at build a choice board. So why not create a choice board if you are teaching a certain level? So maybe I'm looking at a 7 level and I'm calling it, maybe, let's say, planets. Let's go simple, right? I can upload additional context like related unit or chapter. Maybe you have taught a topic and you have the PDF of that chapter available. Upload from drive right here, and then you generate these learning objectives. So the moment the learning objectives are generated, you can modify them. So here the learning objectives are Students will be able to identify the names and orders of 8 planets. Students will be able to describe at least one key characteristic. Very, very basic, right? Could have been for a lower level as well. If you want to enhance them, you can regenerate, or you can just type those particular objectives, learning objectives that you have. And what am I going to do next is just create, generate. And let's see what Gemini brings to us as a choice board, because you want to use a different task for different students. So here is where I have now got 6 options for students. I can export this to docs, and I can keep that ready, because what I'm going to do next is create an assignment and then assign these assignments to separate groups of the students. We did talk about groups earlier. I can do that now. So I can say that, the group A will do the first task and the second, so I can edit them as well. I can give some kind of symbols in between, but I call them as an A, B, CD, or by the color as well. So I'm looking at these group work that I want, but different work to be done. And so who's going to help me get these ideas? I've got 6 ideas. It's going to sit ready there. Let's go to our classroom. And from the classroom, we are going to try and create an assignment. And this assignment is going to be coming to not all students, but to the groups. So I'm going to create group here. So I can create groups with some criteria in mind, or just randomly or ask students to choose the groups that they would want to. Maybe use Gemini to create a kind of a pinwheel, and you select, and student selector kind of a group you can make. So you are looking at, for example, here I want to make group A. So group A, I have just picked up 4 students here, and I'm going to say create. So I've got a group A created, and I'm able to then add more groups. So create group. So let's pick 1, 2, 3, and 4. Another group, let's call it B, and so on. So you're getting the idea that it is so easy to do this. You can create the groups, and then you can assign the task. So again, I can get that assignment right from my Google Drive. I can pick the choice board that we had just created, and we can add that here as a guiding point. Students can view file is the setting I want, because they don't have to work in the document, but that's only the choices or guiding points that they are getting, or instructions that they are getting. And then I can give the instructions here as to what they are going to do. So I'm going to assign this to group A. I can also assign to group B, C, D, E, F, as many as I want, because my instructions will say group A will do the group A task, because I've highlighted or named the groups in the choice board itself with that. So there is so much, possible with the group system, because it's possible that you don't want to include group B in this activity. Maybe there is something else that you have planned for them, or this is an additional work that you want to give to the group A because they need more challenging task in the classroom. So that is where, this option of groups, which again is available only as a premium feature, not available in Google Workspace for Education Fundamentals. So that is the catch, of course, but we are here talking about these features. Last thing that I think we should cover is the analytics. So we have looked at insights earlier. Here are analytics of the classroom. So if I click on analytics, let's see what we are going to be able to view. So again, it opens up this entire screen, where you would be able to see the students coming up the list and their assignment completion percentage. Again, it very clearly says percentage of all assignments due during this time period that were turned in by student, and this figure does not include assignments with zero submissions. So if I go to the time limit here, you can see I can update and I say last 7 days. So instead of going to the 90%, I'm just going to last 7 days. And you can see that they've been active.
हाँ आ रही हो.
So we are looking at the weeks since active in this class. You are looking at that breakup coming in. Again, it's a very new class. I just used it yesterday. So not much of an action has happened in this. So the data is not available. But when we continue to use this classroom, you will be able to see the assignment completion, average grade, active student numbers, how many students have actively participated. All of that is available right here. So that is a possibility, when you're looking at the analytics coming in. And there is also analytics as a school analytics. So again, as an admin tool, it is not for everyone, but as an admin tool, you would be able to see the entire school analytics, where again, how many students have actively participated. If you would want to search for by a teacher or by a student name, you will be able to type in here and identify the kind of activities that they have done, etc. So again, this is definitely important feature of the Google Classroom as a part of Education Plus model, where it's helping not only the teacher, students, as well as the administrator. So I hope these are the features that have helped you to understand the power of Google Classroom with the premium features coming in.
And as always, a huge, huge thank you to Sangeeta ma'am. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us today.